At the beginning of every year, there's this desire to turn a new page, start a new project, and vow to change an old habit. In the scrapbooking world, it's the time to start a new scrapbook journal. Today, I will share with you 3 scrapbook journal layouts and some tips to consider before setting yours up. If you're into mini scrapbook journals like I am, and a general aesthetic is what you want to create, but still want that freedom to venture or customize within that framework throughout the year, then watch to the very end of this video, because these tips will allow you to create a scrapbook journal you'll want to journal in all year round. The first layout, or the first scrapbook journal I want to share with you, is my green theme one. It is what I call mindful minimalism. If you're an avid reader or part of a book club and want to catalog your thoughts and feelings and main points that, say, you want to bring to the next meeting, but you want to add that creative flair, then opt for this layout. This is a book journal that focuses more on journaling rather than the art side of scrapbooking. Ideally, you want to pull out 3 to 4 stencils, 1 stamp collection, and in this case in our book club we did the Armor of God, so I was able to find this stamp set which was perfect for the journal. Then you'll want to pull out matching washi tapes and say 1 to 2 3D elements. Here I used thicker stickers and these brass tabs to organize the journal. Now, if you're doing a book club, a lot of the times these book clubs could last a full year where you're really going deep into the study. And so you'll want to choose, and what I usually do is kind of like how I choose my bags to match my shoes kind of thing. What I do is I choose a journal that matches the book. So in this case, you'll see that this book matches the journal. And here are other journals that I've done where the book matches the journal. I know that's me, I'm so matchy. But I mean, you don't have to do that, but it's something that you might want to consider, especially if you're going to do this throughout the year. So think of a color scheme, think of maybe 1 or 2 elements of crafting techniques that you want to put in the album so that you have this unified look throughout the album. One of the things that I like to use is Versafine Ink. I find that it is by far the best ink for getting very detailed stamping. And if you take a look here, here's another 3D element that I added to this album, and it's this envelope. This book club came with these little prayer cards in it, so I needed a place to put these cards in. And so what was easy without me having to, create these amazing pockets that a lot of these crafters do, and don't get me wrong, they're beautiful and I do create a lot of pockets, but I wanted something simple. Again, this journal was all about the journaling rather than the actual creative side, so I wanted something quick. And so I thought, why not use envelopes? And obviously I have this punch that I use so that it will actually match or fit into this book, and I will put that in the description box below where I got this one. But I find it was great for this project and several of my other projects. Now again, here's the washi tape, here are the tabs. Again, these are the 3D elements that I was talking about. Now, when it comes to journaling, I usually choose 3 or 4 pens that I will stick with the whole journal. Okay, in this case, I like the Staedtler triplus fine liners. They're so great for, the fine detailing of writing that you want. And I allude to this one all the time. This is my go-to journaling pen. It's the Uniball Vision needle, and it's waterproof and it's fade proof. So yeah, this is my go-to. I really like it. And then you'll see here, I've used kind of this highlighter paintbrush effect, and this pen is awesome. This one is the Mild Ink Mildliner brush. It's double-ended, it has a super fine tip and a brush stroke to it, and you can see you can just kind of brush it like you would a paintbrush and then write any text on top of it, and it's great. And then also the super fine end that you can pretty much use for any fine detail writing. Now, if any of you know me, I am so into wax seals and especially making the perfectly rounded wax seal, and this is an example of one. Now, if you're interested in how I did this, you'd be shocked. There's an actual hack that I have to creating these beautifully rounded wax seals, and if you're interested in how to do that, you can actually watch this video at the top that will show you how to craft these perfectly rounded wax seals. If you're really into journaling and stamping, but then you want the text to shine through and you don't want the stamping to actually get in the way or to cover up the text, then I'm a firm believer of using the Tim Holtz Distress inks, because you do get the detailing, but then because they're a softer look, they're not an opaque type of ink, then yeah, your text can actually shine through on those. This next layout is what I call the daytimer setup. This layout is specifically designed so that you can take it wherever you go. I used a planner / daytimer to archive the year's event. This is for the crafter who doesn't have much space or time to make elaborate layout pages. This setup can sit on the corner of your desk or the end of your kitchen table. And I would consider this a cubicle project, which means it's high creativity with minimal space or tool requirements. Everything fits in a cubicle or container to be placed off to the side of your desk, your craft table, or your kitchen, and then you can craft at your leisure or when time permits. So here you pick out 3 to 4 stencils, a handful of stamps, I would say 2 to 3 colors in your journal scheme. In this case, I used pink, black, and gray, and then just a few pens. Now, I don't keep to the actual design layout of this scrapbook journal. I just journal freely, however I want to. And I just like how, you have the lines in the background, and it's not a big deal. Like, you just stamp and stencil whichever way you want. Now, in this album, I stuck to one photo design, and that was using the HP Sprocket. And I'll tell you, that HP Sprocket is amazing because you could actually add text, images, and color coordinate them to make them fit your album. So if you're interested in that kind of aesthetic, then you know what, I'll put a link to the HP Sprocket in the description box below for you. So as you can see here, I added some images to it before printing it out. And it's an inkless printer, and it's quite small. I mean, gosh, you could stick it in your pocket. Another thing I like to add, and I always add, are journaling stamps and date stamps. And again, I just kept to 1 or 2, as you can see here, and that is pretty much seen throughout the album. This is for the person who doesn't want much fuss, really likes the art and the craft of this, but says, you know what, I don't have a lot of space for it. So this is kind of a good way of getting your crafting in without pulling everything out, all your mixed media, and making a mess. Now, one of the next things I want to show you here is always adding 3D elements, or just adding elements that don't belong to the book. And in this case, I used these journaling cards that were from something else. I was like, oh, look, it has a pink aesthetic to it, I'm going to throw it in there. Or these stationery pages. And then what I do is, if I want to add more stuff to it, I just go on the computer and I'm like, okay, 12 most beautiful questions ever asked in pink. And shockingly, all this will come up, and they're free printables. So, you can go to town on finding whatever you want in your color scheme. And there you have 1 year all cataloged in a little mini agenda. Isn't that great? This third layout is what I call my layered tabs. This layout is for the scrapbook journaler that wants the photos to speak for themselves. Here it's all about the layout and how it brings emphasis or highlights the photo. There's no writing. Oh, very minimal, I guess. I started with this plain journal, chose 3 color scheme palette of gray, black, and gold, and pulled every type of texture and paper that I could think of that would match this, and then layered. If you're unsure how to layer ephemera like this in your scrapbook, then you'll want to check out this video because it's great for showing you how to layer ephemera in your scrapbook journals. Now, one of the things I did to give this journal that unified look is that I made sure that I would choose, say, this one element or this one style of layout here, and then I would do that about 3 or 4 times throughout the book. And that's how I keep everything more unified, so that you don't get confused or you don't get frustrated, because then you think, okay, this is how this book is starting to turn out. Now, in this page, I did this page again 3 or 4 times throughout the album. And this is where those large stencils come in, because this is just a line journal. And just to add interest to it, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to grab this large stencil, place it here, and then here's this layout with ephemera. And then there's this page here, which I did several times throughout the album, where it's a stencil, some stamping, and then this type or this shape or size of photos. Here is my washi tape layout, which again, I did 3 or 4 times throughout the album and used washi tape. So you can see how they're all very different layouts, but to keep that unified look going through, I just made sure I kept doing the same 4 or 5 layouts throughout the book. And then it made it easy to actually complete. And because this is my tab book, I obviously have all these tabs, but there are secret pockets that you can do with these tabs. And so that's why I called this my tab book, because there's so much paraphernalia that I wanted from my travels to kind of stick in there. So I really hope you enjoyed these scrapbook layouts. There's tons of things that you could probably take from my scrapbook layouts. I'm not a professional. I'm just someone who's been doing this a long time, and through trial and error have come to realize that there's just certain things that I like to do so that it will allow me to finish. I think that's the big thing, is that you want to start a project and actually enjoy the process and finish it. And if you're like me or any other crafter, there comes a point after a certain amount of time you go, oh gosh, there's this book I've been doing and I'm tired of using the same element, and you just want to finish it. But if you follow these techniques and this system, I guess, then you'll actually be successful in completing these projects and enjoying the process and everything that you've created in your projects. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you're interested in more scrapbooking tips and tools, then here's a link to more videos that I think you might be interested in. So take care, and we'll see you in those videos. Bye.